L'chaim, everybody. L'chaim. I don't have my video equipment. It's all... I've been a little out of whack the last week and a half. Tzeflegen is the Yiddish word. Yeah. How do you translate tzeflegen? It's like all over the place. Exactly. I flew to New York for Rabbi Weiss's son's wedding. Then I flew back. Had the class. Flew back with a group of teens Thursday morning. We had an amazing weekend. 4,100 Jewish teens came together from all over the world for a Shabbos that's just indescribable. Crown Heights, huh?
I got to tell you a ripple effect from that teens.
Okay.
My daughter, who's been fighting me tooth and nail since she was little, doing anything Jewish, long story, but one of her friends went to the C team in New York.
Just now?
Yeah.
Okay.
One of the boys, and he came back, and she said to me out of the blue, she goes, I want to do something like Hebrew schoolish and do something like that.
Wow. No, the teens were on fire. The teens come back on fire. There's new commitments, new groups that are formed. It's unbelievable what's going on. I mean, this is the future. There's no question about it. Not the future. It's the present, really. I mean, they're the change makers. They're inspired. They want to know. No more fake or phony, watered down Judaism. They want the real thing. They're asking for it. And they want to know what it means to have a Jewish identity, especially in light of all that's going on in the world now. And they're suffering with it in the high schools. I mean, they're the ones that are facing the brunt of it. Anyway, unbelievable stuff. Workshops, professors came in and people and...
Are numbers going up?
Huh?
Are numbers going up over time?
Participation?
No?
Yeah. It went up 1,000 this year. Last year there were 3,000 teens. This year there were 4,100 teens. Wow. It was the biggest jump by far. And it's clearly, the events of the last year that have made it happen. Crown Heights opens up their doors because everything happens in Crown Heights over Shabbos. So they have to stay in Crown Heights. Right. So these 8 square blocks are hosting 4,000 people. The most hospitable Jewish community in the world that I know of. It's just insane.
Well, 770 like
huh? Wow, you have to see this. I have to show you a video of this. What happens is, what they do is they put out signs already a week before that they ask the locals, please give up your spot for the Friday night service. And about an hour before Shabbos, they fill up the entire bottom shul with the teen boys, because it's divided in half for Friday night. 2,000 boys go to 770, 2,000 girls go to one of the wedding halls. They do a concert and the whole thing. So 2,000 teens come into the shul, and they get volunteer students from 770 Yeshiva and from the Oratoriya Yeshiva to come learn with them. So you pair up 2 boys, 2 teens with a Yeshiva student, and they give them a booklet, and they learn together for 45 minutes, get a taste of yeshiva kind of thing. The entire community gave up their spot. So the whole shul is just teens and these students. And all the locals stand off to the side. And then they sing songs together. And then there's a massive Kabbalat Shabbat. Everyone does it together. It's unreal. It's unreal. In 770. They work together with the organizers in 770, because typically that never happens. They clear out all the benches, set everything up just for the teens. I have a video of 10 minutes before Shabbos, because I have a locker in 770. So I brought my phone with me. I filmed it a little bit, then ran, put away the phone in the locker until after Shabbos. It's unreal stuff. You want hope? This is hope. You look at this, you go, we're not going anywhere. Wow. And then Sunday night, after I sent the teens home, I was going to come with them, but then in the end, what happened was, because they finished a Rambam cycle, so finally that book that I've been talking about printing for the last 5 years, I published it. It's a 2-volume set. I compiled all of the Rebbe's commentary on the Rambam. Yeah, I have some copies here if any of you want. It's Hebrew.
It's Hebrew?
It's all Hebrew. We're talking about English version soon. And I finally published it, and there was an opportunity to sell it, because they did a massive celebration, I guess, for the conclusion of the cycle in New York. So I stayed an extra evening to sell the books. So I've been in a whirlwind. Then Monday morning came back, and I guess my body said, "That's it. We kept you going for this long." And so I've been in a little out and out the last 2 days, but here we are. All that to say, that's why my video equipment is not here, because I don't have time to get it all together. Anyway, it's still Wednesday, and we still have to learn. We're doing Tanya, and like we said last week, we're kind of closing out this cycle. It's become clear that we've exhausted this path, so we're going to try to relaunch the class in a new way.
Oh.
New topic. Yeah, you weren't here last week when we talked about it, but it's from the feedback that I'm getting from the men, it's time for something new.
Okay.
So we're looking at different ideas. Some of the ideas seem pretty nice. We have a couple of guys that want to learn the Zohar, the weekly Zohar on the Torah portion. Get some Kabbalah. We could do something else in Hasidic texts, but we're going to basically, for the next few weeks, we're going to summarize the remaining chapters of the Tanya. And then after Pesach, we're going to pick it up with a new project. And we're going to bring back the tequila, as Sharon always says. We're missing the tequila from these classes for a while.
Isn't the Zohar and Chassidus what brings Mashiach?
Yes.
So,
The Zohar,
that's the time, right?
Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was told, the Zohar, the Jews were going to exit exile holding your book. Which basically means what it takes to enter a redemption reality is to learn more of the deeper meanings of the Torah. You can't suffice with the outer, external levels. So whatever it's going to be something in the level of Chassidus, in the realm of Chassidus, or Kabbalah, but that's where we're heading. So what are we doing? Tonight, we're going to kind of run through chapters 26 to 34. Okay? It's a lot of chapters. We did last week 18 to 25. This is going to be 26 to 34. And it's amazing how apropos it is to this time of year. Because we say, Misha nichnas adar, marbin besimcha. Hear that line?
No.
Okay. It's in the Talmud. It says, when the month of Adar comes in, we increase in joy. This month that we're in now, with Purim coming up next week, in a week from tomorrow night. Next Friday. Thursday night and Friday is Purim.
So, why do we have to do talk?
Huh?
Why do we have to do talk?
We have to be joyous other ways, I guess. We have to find joy even with tachanun.
Is there ever an argument that you didn't have?
No. But there is many things about this whole month. For example, if God forbid, you have to have a court case scheduled during this month, in general, you should schedule it during this month. Because Jewish fortune is strong. It's healthy. If you're being sued, even a surgery, it says, if you have to have a surgery scheduled, and you can choose, obviously if you can't choose, you do it when it's necessary, but if you can choose, you do it during this month. Because Jewish fortune is strong. There are other, laws that apply throughout the entire month because of that. It's a happy month, the month of joy. And Purim is the most joyous holiday. I mean, no question about it. Simchat Torah maybe in some ways competes, but Purim is a weekday, which represents the idea of bringing holiness into the mundane. Simchat Torah is a holy day. You can't do work, can't do all the stuff that goes along with the Yom Tov. But on Purim, it's full on weekday joy. Well, on Purim we don't say Tachnun.
That's how you, if you didn't have it, you would be depressed.
Exactly.
I met my wife 46 years ago.
You don't do it on
March
after the
13, 1979.
You met her at a Purim party? It's amazing.
It gives you a chance to
Wow. Met at Chabad. The original met at Chabad. Is the day before Purim. That's true.
It
Wow.
was before the fight.
Wow.
It's the opposite to what people think.
Anyway, Purim is a day of Simcha. And all these 9 chapters are about Simcha. They're about joy. The Jewish approach to joy, the Hasidic approach to joy. What is the secret of Purim? I mean, if you had to kind of condense it into one word. Every holiday has a theme. It's funny how if you discover the theme of a holiday, all the questions, the major questions around the holiday, get answered. Because once you see it from that deeper perspective, it gives you like Shavuos. Shavuos is the connection of the higher and the lower realms, right? Matan Torah, the giving of the Torah, represents Hashem allowing Himself to come down into the physical. And that's the entire. It covers why we do dairy and what's the novelty of Matan Torah and what we're waiting for and what we're celebrating and the whole thing. With Purim, the way the Rebbe used to explain it, the whole theme, the whole Purim in a nutshell, is finding God in the hidden places. That's Purim. Discovering God where He seems not to be present. And that, literally, it's this thread that runs through the entire Purim. Look at the Megillah. It's the only book of the Bible, 24 books, where God's name is not mentioned. Not once. Why? Because the Megillah could be taken as a political drama. You could read it as an easy, godless script. Just another good Hollywood story. Everybody was where they were supposed to be at the right place at the right time. And because of that, when the decree happened, Mordechai pulled his political strings, and Esther came in, boom, saved the day, Haman is hanged, and we're good. If you want to, you could attribute everything to happenstance. And yet, if you're a little bit mature, you see how Hashem's hand is guiding every step of the way. Nothing could have happened without Hashem's intervention. Everything worked out to the most precise detail because of Hashem's full supervision. But you have to discover that. You have to find it. What's the name of the book? It's called Megillat Esther. Right? Literally means the scroll of Esther. But if you look at the words, Megillah shares the same root as Gilui, revelation. Esther has the same root as Hester, hidden. The revelation in the hidden. Finding God in where He seems not to be present. What else? That's why Purim is called Purim. You know what Purim means?
Lots.
Huh? Lots. But if you look at the Megillah, it says in the Megillah that Purim is a Persian word. The Hebrew word for lots is Goral. We call it Purim. Why do we call it the biblical holiday, or in other words, biblical level holiday, with a Persian name? Same thing. Because it's about finding God in the lowest realms. We don't call it by Hebrew. Hebrew represents godliness revealed. Foreign languages represent godliness hidden.
But Yom Kippur.
Huh?
Yom Kippur.
That's more of a Kabbalistic connotation, Kippurim, but really it's Kippur is a tone. Yeah. Even if you go further, why do we call it Purim? I mean, if you get Persian Hebrew, it's a weird name. The lots is a small part of the Purim story. I mean, call it, I don't know, Esther, call it Haman, call it hanging, call it feast. I mean, the lots was is one thing that Haman did. He drew lots to kill the Jewish people. This is a very Kabbalistic explanation. You have to really get this. It says in the Zohar that lots or raffles. A raffle means surrendering fate to God. That's what a raffle is. Raffle says, I withdraw, I submit to whatever God chooses. In a way, raffle is God choosing for you.
The will of the master.
Yeah. Right? Because if you... Oh, you're doing it now? Okay, so you know. This concept in Chassidus, this goyrel is a very deep thing. The reason why Haman drew lots, according to Kabbalah, is because he wanted God to agree to the Jewish annihilation. If it was just an anti-Semite planning to kill the Jewish people, that's one thing. But he makes a raffle, and then Hashem, so to speak, chooses, which basically means, and that's how the Talmud explains it, the Jews were in a very low spiritual state. In a way, they even deserved annihilation for different reasons. But the lot represents that's like the pivotal moment. That's when even Hashem agreed, so to speak, that the Jews deserve annihilation. And even still, the Jews came out on top. So we call it Purim because that's where it was the most hidden, dark place, and God came out. That's why we eat hamantashen. Everything is it's all one explanation. Why do we eat hamantashen? What's a hamantash? Hamantash, well, yeah, it's the head of Haman, but it's also the filling hiding in the dough. Right? You cover it with the dough, you're hiding, because you want to show Hashem in the hidden. So we wear costumes on Purim. It's the only holiday where it's such a custom. Why are we wearing? It's just fun to dress up? No, Because we're showing that the whole message of Purim is that even when it's not revealed, even when it's concealed, you don't know who I am when I wear a costume, but still the connection between Hashem and the Jewish people runs deeper than concealments. And a whole host of other questions are answered based on this one theme. This theme of really what Purim is about is discovering Hashem where he seems least apparent. And if I can make a little leap of faith, I haven't seen it written about Purim specifically, but I want to connect it because I think it's a true thought. Real joy, simcha, as it's explained in Kabbalah and in the Tanya here, is not a product of revealed circumstance. In other words, maybe let's back up for a second, okay? There's two words in English that we use for this thing. There's joy and there's happiness. But really they're very different, joy and happiness, if we wanted to get to the core definition. Happiness is a feeling which is supposed to come from outside circumstances. You have a lot of money, you're happy. You have a nice family, you're happy. You're healthy, you're happy. Happiness is a very superficial type of a feeling which comes from everything working out on the outside. But then, when you don't have those things working out on the outside, you're not happy. Right? Don't have enough money, not happy. Need to pay the mortgage, not happy. Kids are rebelling, not happy. Work's not working out. I don't know, whatever. Family, whatever, health. All these things that are outside of us, they can either make us happy or make us unhappy. Joy doesn't come from the outside in. True joy comes from the inside out. That means your simcha, your true joy, is not a product of life. It creates the spirit of your life. And this is the reason we find through the generations that our people were able to be resilient even when nothing outside was making them happy. It's because there's an inner spirit. And our enemies are always frustrated at that. They can't figure out why they can't crush the Jewish spirit. And it's because we don't depend on the things outside of us. God exists within us, and that flame is the source of our joy. Joy doesn't mean necessarily dancing up and down, happy-go-lucky. Right? We're not always doing that. We're not always jumping for joy. Joy means an inner contentment, a satisfaction, the knowledge that nothing can shake me. I'm invincible. My spirit is unbreakable. These are the things that make true simcha, that make true joy. And it's specifically in that Purim-style circumstance where you need the simcha. When the circumstances around you are making you happy anyways, you don't have to always be tapping into your inner joy. But when it's hidden, when there's an Hester, God is not revealed, then you have to tap in to that joy and say, you know what, it doesn't matter what's happening around me. There could be tornadoes and fires and everything is going wrong outside. The world is against us, doesn't support us. We're facing the most negative of circumstances as we've ever faced as a nation. But the simcha doesn't stop. We go forward. We march forward. We don't just go forward. We march forward. It means with resolve, with strength. It's uniquely Jewish. I mean, it's naturally impossible if you think about it. That's why we're a miraculous nation. It makes no sense. How do we do it as a nation? What was it? Just 1 week ago, we were talking about the Bibas funeral. It happened that day. It was on the Wednesday. And just heartbreak. And yet, we're trucking. We're not going nowhere. Why? That's the simcha. Mishanichnas adar marbin besimcha. Because Purim influences the entire month, it allows us to increase in this joy, in this inner joy, in this joy of our neshama, this joy that comes from the fact that we're one with God, part of the divine infinite, no matter what happens on the outside. And the Alter Rebbe's case in these 9 chapters basically, it's a lot to cover here, but he basically goes through a bunch of things that get in the way of joy. A bunch of things that get in the way of your motivation to serve God. And he keeps on flipping it on its head. He keeps on saying, you have to... He makes 2 points. says, first of all, you have to divorce negative feelings that come from what he calls the body to the joy of the soul. Most times, what's getting in the way of the joy of our soul is not anything inherent to the soul. Just the soul is glued to the body. So the body has an influence on the soul. But really, really, if you get down to it, all sadness, negativity, lack of motivation comes from body-related stuff. So first of all, you have to separate. More so, you can turn the negative feelings into goodness. It's like, if I ask you like this, if I said, is depression bad or good? So the default answer would be bad, right? It's not good to be depressed. Who wants to be down? But what if I said to you, you could make your depression positive by giving it a purpose? Depression without purpose is the killer. Depression without purpose is the killer. If you can take depression and turn it into something purposeful, it becomes a catalyst for good. And I don't want that to sound like an oversimplification of therapeutic and clinical depression. I'm not getting into that. These are things that have to be dealt with. These are the wirings of the brain and other treatments. I'm saying in the context of our own lives, feeling down, feeling in the rut, feeling low. They're only negative feelings so long as we allow them to stay and we don't give them meaning. But if we give them a meaning, if they become the reason that tomorrow we face with extra strength, if they become the reason that we bounce back from rock bottom, then as King Solomon said in Kohelet, B'chol etzev yiyeh motar. Every sadness brings benefit, brings an increase. That's the verse he quotes here in chapter 26.
Victor Frank said, if I can give somebody a why, they can find a how.
There you go. Even in the worst circumstances, if there's meaning, if there's purpose, there's, what do you say? A how.
A how.
You'll get through it. And you'll make it something positive. This is why you hear from people that suffered with, extreme negativity. And the darkness became a source of light. The moment they were able to find that transformation is the moment they found their life's calling, is the moment they were able to become whole with the pain, is the moment they were able to to begin living with fulfillment again. I think I saw it here in this English Tanya. It's not a direct quote from the Tanya, but he kind of makes the point. On page 301, if you have the book, it's on page 301. It's here where it says a Hasidic thought. Anyway, he says, it's a nice read. It's 4 paragraphs, but he says, the manifest world is plagued by polarity. North only exists because of south, light because of dark, sweetness because of bitterness, and pleasure because of pain. You might like the idea of a life which is totally devoid of pain and only offers pleasure, but that's actually impossible. It's impossible. Because in the manifest world, the two experiences are interrelated. They're two ends of the same pole. If there's no pain, there's no pleasure. Meaning, every single one end of the spectrum demands the other end of the spectrum. Or to put it in one of the Jewish philosophical works, words, ta'anug tmidi eino ta'anug. A consistent pleasure is not pleasure. Because it stops having meaning. It only has meaning when there's a pause, when there's the other side, and then you are able to bounce back. So, a perpetual level of goodness, so to speak, wouldn't create joy. Joy is the product of this polarity. And then when you can find the meaning, find the purpose, then you keep having the simcha to keep going forward.
Every day with Shabbos, you wouldn't appreciate it.
Exactly. If every day was Shabbos, we wouldn't appreciate it. If every day was Yom Tov, we wouldn't appreciate it. It's the same principles.
But you need a vehicle.
Yeah.
Get from from that place to this place.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Well, typically that's the motivation that we have to get us going. But even when it gets disrupted, that's the point he's making over here. You gotta keep trucking. There's a whole bunch of different things he gets into. He's like, what if I get distracting thoughts in the middle of my day that bring me down? It's amazing how today everyone talks about this, the thoughts, manifestations, and all these things, and how you think really affects you. I feel like it was harder, 40, 50 years ago to understand this stuff. But today it's like basics. You get a distracting thought, it could bring you down. You're about to close a deal, and then this fear of rejection comes into you, and it just derails the whole thing. And now you go in with less strength, you go in with less passion, and then that's it. Maybe we're not so spiritually sensitive, but in the Tanya, the Alter Rebbe addresses people that had spiritual negative thoughts. I didn't put on tefillin yesterday, now I'm derailed. I missed Kriya Shema yesterday, or I didn't do the mitzvah that I was supposed to do, now I'm out of whack. The Alter Rebbe says, first of all, if these thoughts are coming to you during spiritual pursuits, because that happens sometimes. Like on Yom Kippur, the Jew came to shul, but then he's having these thoughts of like, I'm such a no good Nick. I came to shul, but I don't live the way the rest of the year. Or while you're davening, like that one time you're putting on tefillin or lighting the menorah, the bad thoughts come to you. So that's for sure a distraction. That's for sure your Yetzer Hara trying to win you with making a double negative. Because how could a negative thought come to you while doing a mitzvah? A mitzvah is a divine act. It's a sacred act. It's a godly act. So if distracting thoughts are coming, that's completely to be ignored. But even if it comes to you outside of spirituality, you're playing soccer, you're playing basketball, and the downer thoughts start coming to you. The Alter Rebbe says, still don't let it get in the way. It's not holy. It's not holy to be Jewishly guilty during physical or material, mundane stuff. A Jew never lets distracting thoughts get into his mind. There's a name for this in today's psychological approaches. I forget what it is. But basically, turn it on and turn it off. Make time. Hold space, they call it, right? Hold space for these thoughts. That means you decide when it comes up in your consciousness. You decide when it goes out of your consciousness. No such thing as my negative thoughts controlling me. I control them. I'll decide. When I have 10 free minutes, nothing else to do, now I'll think about all those things that I have to fix. And then when I'm done, it's off. And now I'm on to my next thing. Even if it's just playing another game. Certainly don't ever fool yourself, Alter Rebbe says, into thinking that you're some kind of tzaddik who doesn't deserve negative thoughts. You ever hear that from people? Why do I deserve having negative? I'm such a good guy. Such a holy guy. Why do bad things happen to me? That is Alter Rebbe. He has some choice words for this guy in chapter 27. Yeah, let's take a look at it for a second. If you have page 308. Wow. Just one point, this is... See the bottom of 308, section 2, how your ego tricks you? Says, bottom line there, in the bold. On the contrary, sadness from inappropriate thoughts comes from an inflated ego. Top of 309. Such a sadness is not, as it may first appear, the result of a holy urge to become a better person. It's a trick of the ego. That you don't know your place and realize that you haven't yet transformed yourself to be rid of the impulse to evil. And your inflated ego makes you feel depressed that you're not at the level of a tzaddik. And since tzaddikim definitely don't have such foolish thoughts, you get sad when you do have them. All this is delusional thinking of the ego. Because if you would know your place, you would realize that you are very far from the level of tzaddik, and the expectation of being free from inappropriate thoughts is totally unrealistic. A more realistic expectation would be if only you would become a Beinoni and not be a Rasha for even one moment the whole of your life. It's hard enough to be a Beinoni, right? Now, as you read these lines, you could hear how foolish it sounds. But the truth is, sometimes we do this self-talk to ourselves as well. Maybe not at this level, but we put ourselves at unrealistic levels, and we say, hey, I don't deserve this, or I shouldn't be struggling with this. That's fine. If you struggle, that's fine. Just because you struggle with a laziness, with a procrastination, with a downer thinking style, it's okay. That's part of human experience, to struggle. He even says later in the chapter, probably one of the harder lines in the Tanya to understand, but he says, maybe you were born to struggle. Right? Because that's the flip side of it. Well, even if somebody embraces the fact that I have to struggle, but we all want to know, when's it going to end? Right? We all want to know, I'll struggle for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. When can I finally be over the issue? No. Maybe you were created to struggle every time. And every day, it's a new battle. Every day. You can manage your issues, have a great life, but every day you gotta face the inner demons. He gives a metaphor. He says, Sephardic people, they get this better. They go, there's two types of food. There's naturally sweet food, and then there's sour food, spicy food. But even though spicy food tastes not the best, somehow there's this kick that people get from a jalapeno. And even though it burns your mouth and it doesn't make sense, so to speak, to like it, but people like it. They like this spicy experience. Sometimes even better than a straightly sweet, sugary food. Why? Because it's coming from the unexpected. Like, this shouldn't be enjoyable, but it's cool. So we get into it. So the Alter Rebbe says God has his sugary food and his spicy food. His sugary food is the guys that are just good. The tzaddikim. They're on a straight path. And there's the spicy food. That's us. We struggle. We battle. And then, out of the spice, comes a good result. Hashem loves that even more than the sugary foods. And that's your purpose, maybe. Maybe. He doesn't say for sure. So it's like, how comforting is that? I don't know, maybe. Maybe not. I don't know, maybe. Maybe you were born to struggle. That's what he says. Huh?
You come to terms with it, that you came to the grave, you came to this struggle. You can deal with it. If you think that you're a tzaddik and you shouldn't be doing all this stuff, you're in fantasy land.
Yeah. You're literally in fantasy land. It's no good to be in fantasy land.
I agree, it is comforting, actually.
Maybe I'm born to struggle. That's my thing. I think I've told the story a few times, but it's a really great story. That this boy once went into a private audience with the Rebbe, and he asked the Rebbe why he has to fail so much. All this failing and failing. Let me just be on a good path. Huh? Cruise control, yeah, be good. So the Rebbe said, it was probably more to the conversation, but bottom line, the Rebbe said, if I have somebody who draws a picture of a beautiful sunset on the beach with all the details, the colors and the gorgeousness and the setting and the sand. And then I have, right next to the artist, I have a camera, takes a picture of the very same scene. Who's going to capture the scene more exactly? So obviously the camera, right? Yet, if you went and sold the same two pieces of work, the picture sells for what? 5 cents, maybe? Who's going to buy a picture? And the artist's work could sell for thousands. Why?
It's handmade.
So what? It's less perfect. Huh? So the Rebbe said a very interesting line. Listen to what the Rebbe said. The Rebbe said, a camera is supposed to be perfect. So nobody is impressed when it is. A human is prone to mistakes. So when an artist makes a flawless picture, that's impressive. So the Rebbe said, Hashem has his cameras and he has his artists. The angels are the cameras. They're programmed to be perfect. All day they take pictures, they make songs, and they sing to Hashem. And everything is great. But you know what? Nobody's impressed. Nobody's impressed if the angels say, Kadosh, 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 do whatever they want. But a human being is prone to failure. Hashem gave you the possibility to fall, and you get up again, and you keep trucking. That's impressive. That value, the coming up from the struggle, being the artist, making your personal portrait, your personal picture, that's worth everything. Anyway, with this approach, the Alter Rebbe explains many things. He says, this could help you be humble. This could help you truly love people. This could help you have faith. It helps you be humble because you realize that, just because you're not struggling with something, you may not know what it's like for somebody else to struggle with that. And it could be that the person you're being so judgmental about for not winning his struggle, had you had that, you'd be worse. You don't know. Your life circumstances were good. They worked out for you. What do you know what the other person is battling? Inside, really. Temptations, lusts, desires, issues. That's, by the way, real humility. Humility is not being a doormat. People associate humility with being a nothing. No, humility just means acknowledging that everything you have is God-given, and if somebody else had what you have, they would do better. That's humble. Humble means I completely don't judge. I completely embrace you with all of your life circumstances, and I say, hey, you're doing great for what you're doing. Now, by the way, everyone's got to be their own judge, okay? That's what I say about you. What you have to say about you is, I need to be doing better. Right? Where am I not winning? I got to keep winning. But never use that to justify your judgment of someone else. They don't keep what I keep. You know the word frum? Frum means religious, right? That's how they say it in Yiddish. But if you take it in English, F-R-U-M, right? So we got you in the middle. Anybody that's to your left is too modern, M, too modern. Anybody to your right is F-R, the fanatically religious. Me, I'm the perfect.
I'm the you.
I'm the you. Everyone, I always hear that. He's crazy. And the way I do it, that's the ultra perfect. No. We have to have the respect and the honor to everybody else to say, I don't know what they're truly going through. And that allows me to be really humble. It allows me to accept them, to understand them. And it allows me to love them. Because love transcends the limitations of the body. When you operate from a body-to-body level, all the differences come to the fore, and it's hard to unite. But when you can throw away the body limitations and all that stuff, and you go soul to soul, same thing. Again, what do you know? Maybe my soul is better than yours. Maybe your soul is better than mine. What do we know about souls? Souls are a whole different expertise. It's a whole different science of souls. Just because one guy is acting out in his Judaism, the other guy is keeping fully faithful, you have no idea the true value of a Jewish soul. And if you could operate on the soul level, you would actually embrace and love every Jew.
And Yontif, the rabbi gets it, says, I'm nothing. And the Chazan
Right.
gets up and says, I'm nothing. And then the president of the shul gets up and says, I'm nothing. And the rabbi gets up and says, I'm nothing. And he says, oh, look who thinks he's a nothing.
Look who thinks he's nothing.
Look who thinks he's nothing.
Yeah. Ego.
Yeah.
But then, how do you say non-Mavush wine? In terms of, people won't say if a Jew.
Okay.
That's just the wine.
I mean, look.
That's a whole other
No,
discussion.
I guess that.
There's judging going on.
Yes. But I guess legally speaking, Hashem can make those judgment calls.
Right.
So in other words, if a person actively violates the Shabbos, right? Let's say, that's one of the qualifications, right?
Yeah.
Purposefully, So then, legally, we have to act in a certain way. But it doesn't influence my love for them. Somebody drives to my house on Shabbos, right? So yeah, I'm not gonna.
So let them in the door.
Yes, but fully, I fully embrace them.
Right.
But you don't know what's going on to the other person. You don't know, and yet,
It's true.
so how do you, chances are about people who really uphold, are sticklers for that. I don't get it. I find it inconsistent with with the ideal.
I think there has to be some kind of legal line,
But you just don't know. It's not something
Right.
Somebody could look like they're the greatest Sonic in the world
And undercover is,
yeah.
yeah, that's true. That is
You
true.
have no idea.
You have no idea. Certainly at the heart level, you have to exhibit a true love. But we do have to get rid of the judgment. And there is too much of it in the community. We need to transcend the performance level of how we classify people.
And you're picking 3 mitzvahs out of 613
Yeah,
to judge that person. Really?
yeah,
Where's Lashon Hara in that?
yeah. Yeah, what do we do about that? I guess Hashem decides the laws. I don't know.
If Hashem doesn't want to touch the wine, drink from the bottle, I understand. But sorry.
I hear you. I don't have a good answer. Somehow the Kabbalah has to coexist with the legalities, But certainly without that, when Hashem says to love every Jew as yourself, it's not a joke. It's not a joke. It's not an unrealistic thing. It's a real thing. How do you love everyone like yourself? I always love myself more than I love other people. But that's because, I'm being honest here, that's because I put my body before other people's bodies. But on the soul level, we're all united. What are we all? We're all a piece of infinity. Infinity is the most cohesive thing ever. It gives you true faith. Same thing. When do you have true faith? When you're truly joyful. When are you truly joyful? When you've removed the boundaries of the body. I'm really distilling these points here. It's one chapter per point, but he goes into it. In the bottom line, kind of like Philip mentioned before, you still have to do what you have to do. So if there's no motivation, if it's a sucky day, you still gotta plow forward. It's like us in life. We have to show up. If we're having a bad day, our kids still have to eat. The family still has to go on. The work has to get done. So for your soul too, if you're having a bad soul day, it doesn't matter. Still got to learn Torah. Still got to give tzedakah.
What's a bad soul day mean?
Bad soul day means like a downer day. Yeah.
You can't just show up. If you continue to go to work and just show up and not do anything,
Fine, but you still got it.
you gotta do something.
You got to pull yourself together. By the way, a strange thing about the way Judaism works, you'll do more, you'll feel more. It's like a cycle. Even when you're not inspired, if you keep doing, the doing will bring the inspiration. The chinuch, he always wrote that. Acharei hama'asim nimshachim alevavot. The hearts are pulled after the deeds. You do what you have to do, the feelings will come. And then they'll spur on more action, etc. That's the bottom line. Lack of motivation is coming from something outside of you. It's a very empowering concept. Understand that whatever you're experiencing, which is bringing you down, is not related to your true core. You're not schizophrenic if you're having a good moment in the morning and then a bad moment 2 seconds later. That's two different parts of you. And help yourself separate those two parts. Allow the joy that's inside to come out and lead you. And when that leads you, everything else works out. That's the bottom line takeaway. It's takeaway of Purim, takeaway of Adar, takeaway of these 9 chapters. The body and the animalistic parts of ourselves bring us down. But the soul and the inside and the God inside of us always has to bring us up. L'chaim.